Hello everybody. So this video is about anybody that wants to have a natural water feature for their waterfowl. We've done 3 different pond builds over the years, and this video is what I've taken from each of them. And you know, we've learned a little bit more every time, and so the basic elements that you need are some sort of way to pump the water into whatever filtration method you choose. We tend to do the space filling with the rocks on top, with the pea gravel on top of that, just to help filter the water out, and then a layer of plants on the very top. People say that sand filters work really well. I haven't used that, so I can't verify that. I would imagine as long as you can backwash the system like you could with a pool, it would be effective. I would imagine that you'd have to backwash it at least once a week, if not more, depending on the amount of ducks or waterfowl that you have. So keep that in mind. But you need a pond, some sort of filtration, and you'll also need things like beneficial bacteria, a good source of beneficial bacteria that you can add to the pond. Plants are really great if you can do that, especially if you can protect them from your waterfowl so that way they don't eat them. And then I found barley straw to be effective as well in it doesn't kill algae, but it'll stop the growth. So if you can maintain your pond by putting that in there as a preventative measure, then it'll stop the rest of the things from happening. But yeah, those are the basics. So the rest of this video that follows just goes over our build. So if you wanted to stop the video here, you totally could. I am open to any questions that anyone has about this, because I'm very passionate about natural water sources, you know, for your own personal enjoyment. I mean, our water is so clean that I would swim in it. You know, we do the pond testing. There's no nitrates, no nitrites, and we have good anaerobic turnover, and so it's safe. It would be safe for me to drink it if I really wanted to, but you know, it's just the thought of drinking poo water that makes me not drink it. So anyways, you could stop the video here if you wanted to, but continue on, and I hope that you learned something. And again, reach out with any questions you have. The water tank thingies with the spout on the bottom. We put some plants in the top. The whole thing is filled with this pea gravel. And that's all that's in there. And then, of course, some milk crates at the bottom, just so that way there's a reservoir at the bottom for us to use that drain spout. I do the drain spout every afternoon for about 5 seconds until the water runs clear. And this is a 750-gallon tank for my ducks. I have 8 of them. And then I just have a little regular pond filter on this side. So anyways, I've had this since June, and the water testing kit shows me that there's 0 nitrates or nitrites in the water, and it's been working great. And you can see the plants on the top help filter that last little bit, and it's been working fabulously. I have not had to change the water. It is a dual setup here. This one down here is about 250 gallons, and this one up here is about 100 gallons. There's large rocks like this in the bottom, and then there's the pea gravel on top that looks like that. And then there's a little bit of sand that we had left over that's on the very top. The most important part of this, as far as nutrient recycling and things like that, is the plants. That is the most essential part of this whole deal. That, and then of course the pump that takes the water from the bottom. This hose right here goes all the way down to the very lowest point, and then it cycles the water up into the bog, and then it goes up through the rocks and comes back out. The plants help filter the nutrients through, and that is the basics of any aquaponics biofiltering technique that you'll see out there. There's tons of videos. I'm just showing you what works, what has worked for us. This is our smaller pond. We had at one point in time up to 31 ducks, and not all of them use this pond, but it has worked well. The other thing that you will need to know with this type of setup is that the rocks tend to get clogged, because, you know, ducks are dirt gobblers, right? So you're gonna have to clean that out every couple of months, like go through get the silt off the bottom and mix those rocks up so that way you can get all that dirt and stuff out. So if you're looking for something easy to clean, you want to keep it small. So it's not about the amount of ducks that or waterfowl that use it, it's about how often are you cleaning that out. And as you can see, most of those plants in there are potted so that way we can take them out. But this whole thing will fill up. Since it's spring, it's early times, but this whole thing will fill up with plants. So there's pond number 2. Here's our next pond. Don't mind the shade filter. We need to redo that. We had a bad windstorm the other day. But this one is 28,000 gallons of water. It is 3.5 feet deep at the deepest point, which is over, let's see if I can get my hand over here. And then this side over here is about 18 inches deep. You can see that there is a diffuser in the middle, and that's extremely important for turbulenting, making the water turbulent, getting that dense, unoxygenated water from the bottom up to the top. You can see that there is some algae on the top. That is from the lab. We've had rain and wind, and so we're having an outbreak right now, an algae bloom. But you can see we got a little, sand area here for them to sunbathe in. And this was an older pond too, because now we've moved all of our operations across the street. And we're in the process of building our fourth and final pond. There's koi in this pond, but this right here was the original biofilter, and we just had the big pump that came from the bottom and then put the water up to the top. The ducks are not currently using this pond, and that's another reason why it looks like this. We haven't really been tending to it at all, but you can see the pond plants off to the side. And we originally had a fence around that to keep the ducks from eating it, because they will pick at it. The smaller plant here on the bottom is pennyroyal, and then this is horsetail fern. Those are both bog safe plants that do well with wet root conditions. Both of them create rhizomes underneath the surface, and so they filter the nitrogen and all of that sorts of material out and filters it out of the water. There's some pond additives that we add, but it's all natural. We don't use any quote-unquote chemicals, right? Some of this stuff is produced in a scientific environment or whatever, but they're not chemicals per se. So let's go around and I'll show you the setup. And again, we haven't been over here, so it's a little raunchy, but you can see our other biofilter here. And again, that's 28,000 gallons. I think you want to have like 20 or 30% of filtering materials for however much water you have. So if you have 100 gallons of water, you want 20 gallons of filtration, if that makes sense, or 30. With ducks, the more the merrier. Ducks and also filtration media. This is an 8,000 gallon tank, or I'm sorry, I said 8,000. 1,000 gallon tank, and then we have the other biofilter over there. But the things that help to filter this water are it's a pond filter, and it does, I think, 7,000 gallons of water an hour. And then we have some UV lights. We have 3 of those. And then on this side, is focus on my hand, is the diffuser setup. So all of that stuff goes down to, again, the deepest part of the pond. The diffusers help move the gross anaerobic material around and gets it up for, because there's like the very bottom layer of a pond doesn't get any oxygen, and you have to get that stuff oxygenated, otherwise it creates all sorts of issues. But yeah, I have a lot more information for you. We used, natural like barley straw extract to get rid of the algae. We put in beneficial bacteria, and I will provide links for those. None of that stuff we don't get affiliate stuff. I'm just trying to help you out because I love ducks, and so I want to make sure that people have the happiest, healthiest aquatic animals that they can have. And we do have koi in this pond that will eventually get moved over when we get the new pond set up. So again, let me know if you have any questions. I'm open to answering to the best of my ability, but you definitely need to have a great filtration system, and then you have to be willing to flush it out when necessary. Oh, this one has a flush on it, so we can flush that out. We can open that up and flush the water back the other way. It has, again, large rocks on the bottom, I think to about here, and then the rest of it is pea gravel. And then those plants are all planted in there. So they come back every year. Again, this is pennyroyal. This one is cattail, which has really done very well. I mean, you know, there's a lot of nutrients in there that they can get out. I can't remember the name of this plant, but it has pretty purple flowers in summer. And then there's mint. Mint also does extremely well in the bog environment. It is probably one of the best producers that we have in our bogs is mint. If you can get your hands on some mint. And it overwinters well, as long as you don't get down too far. I don't know what zone you're in, but our temperatures dropped down to the 20s, and the mint didn't even die this year. It stayed throughout the winter. So anyways, I hope this helps.